Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
At the moment, blue skies.
Wow, blue skies, guys, check it out.
It's amazing. That's what the skies used to look like.
Oh, we're so grateful right now.
We are so grateful, and we're grateful for all those that are watching over at Patreon. Again, on Patreon, everything gets uploaded over there, and there will be Patreon-only videos sometimes every other day, sometimes every third day, but often as we go a little bit deeper over there into things that we're afraid to speak about on YT openly, and with good reason. So I just wanted to point out, yes, the sun seems to be waking up a little bit more, as you see right now, some M-class flares and plenty of C-class flares going on. Nothing directly Earth-facing at this point in time. So, nothing extremely noteworthy, but it does seem like it's awakening. And of course, again, everything is cyclic in the rotation of the planet and also of the sun, which is just one star amongst so many, is always turning, as we are always turning, as we are part of a network. It really is like a neural network, and we've talked about that before. This was really, and when I say that, I mean the stars themselves are like a neural network. Truly, we are living in the brain of a much bigger being, so to speak. We should say probably mind instead of brain, because the mind is beyond the brain and the self is beyond the mind. And okay, we're going deep there.
It's all good.
All good. Look at this. Watch this. Whoa, it's like it gets sucked up into space, this explosion. This is a tornado. Now in Tennessee and over towards the Kentucky border, there were a series of tornadoes, and as unfortunately 6 people that we know of have lost their lives. Really massive destruction. These were brutal storms, so we send our prayers and best intentions to everybody over there. This was, just curious to watch the way the energy just sucks the explosion on up. Of course, there were some comments, oh, it's just a transformer, and others wondering if it was something to do with a gas well of some sort. But as you can see, this is asking for prayers as the city is suffering. Absolutely, tornadoes are just terrifying. I've been in some situations with tornadoes where it was basically just put out positive intentions and pray, and that's really it.
Well, sometimes that's all you can do. I mean, when you're faced with something like that, you just have to kind of face it and do what you do. And there's so many times when people end up in situations like this where they have nothing, but they did say prayers and now they have something. And unfortunately, not everyone makes it. Definitely, that's something that's extremely sad. And if you guys would and could, please send positive energy to these folks today, because I mean, these are lifetimes that are completely, I mean, years and years and years of hard work, routines, working 9 to 5, making their lives, and they're shattered. They're just completely shattered. Their lives will forever be changed. So let's send them some compassion and some love and some positive energy, that they are able to pull things together and make things even better than they were before for themselves.
Absolutely. And Tennessee is a beautiful state. Absolutely beautiful state. And this is the Nashville and Clarksville areas that had this situation last night. Now, we have a situation where Yemen has announced a ban on the passage of all ships en route to Israel if food, medicine, humanitarian aid do not enter Gaza. So we still have that situation ongoing with about 2 million people homeless. And, if you follow Monkey Works, he was talking about all the flights that have been coming out of the Middle East that seem to be spreading these homeless people all over, and in many cases, bringing them here to the U.S. and other NATO nations as well. You know, what happened in Israel has made it so that what's going to be the ultimate outcome, there's going to be this is the removal of all the quote unquote Palestinian people from Gaza. This is really what's happening. They're removing like 2 million people, and you know, it's just a huge another log on the fire of immigration, because you know, the world is right now, many in the world are scratching their heads and saying, what's going on? Why is there so much massive waves of migration across the planet on a scale that we hadn't seen in years past? And it just keeps accelerating. And just when you think, well, I mean, gosh, you know, they told me 3 years ago there was, you know, maybe 10 million people illegally in the U.S., and then it's increased graphically. Is there 20, 25, 30? I mean, we hear there's 4 million more on the way right now to the U.S. Where are they all going to go? And, you know, what? Well, they're in the streets. This is what we're seeing, and it gets cold in a lot of northern U.S. cities as well as NATO cities, certainly. And we've even seen them up in Finland of all places, people that are used to the heat of the Middle East migrating up to Finland in the winter. This is insane, right? But it's part of a much bigger plan. And you have Iran warns of explosion after U.S. veto on Gaza war. Yeah, you know, again, I think we're being a little bit lulled to sleep because, you know, the situation in Israel is just rolling straight along. There's more and more military forces close to each other every day. I've been watching positioning of Filipino and Chinese military vessels. They're right next to each other. It seems to be more and more of them coming into areas close to each other. It's like a whole bunch of powder kegs have been put all over the planet, and a fuse could be lit from one central location, and it's just a matter of guessing where that first boom is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a big one.
Yes, you know, and again, what can we do? Well, we could prepare ourselves as best we can to, you know, again, get ourselves as prepared as we can be, but also work with neighbors. And this is what I want to kind of get across now. It can be frustrating, but we got to talk to people. We really got to talk to people, and not just people that are awake, but some of those that we might even describe in our frustration as sleepwalking zombies. How do we wake up the zombies? That's a key question, but we really have to, because the world is unfortunately full of zombies, and we have to wake them up before they just drag the masses off the cliff.
Well, when you are an awakened being, you do have that ability to kind of reach into someone's soul and figure out where they're at and find a safe place to meet them emotionally. Like, where are they at? And, you know, what can we pull together that's in common? Because regardless if they're asleep or not, you want to respect people's boundaries. You have to respect their belief systems. I mean, you don't have to, but usually things go well when you do give people respect for their belief systems, because regardless of what you think, feel, or your belief system, they have theirs, and their belief system is just as important to them as yours is to you. So that's why it's so important to understand people, find out where they're at, and everyone has a commonality. There's always something that you can pull from someone's belief system that you both agree on, and to me, that's where you start.
So, you know, they're starting to give you the understanding that we're moving into a different phase when it comes with Ukraine situation, as it, you know, right now they're talking about it kind of winding down, that it's getting done. Ukraine is not going to win, and in fact, Moscow says it won't allow Ukraine to continue being a NAZI state. So they have to work on that word, ification, and demilitarization. So what are they going to do? Are they going to create a puppet state? Are they going to absorb it? Are they going to split it up? Going way back, this is something I think we should always kind of look at. Look at the rumors that come out that sound crazy when something initially comes out. The real crazy rumors, the ones, that are like, nah, that probably won't happen. And then notice when a situation starts to, quote unquote, resolve itself, and we understand all these things are really about certain objectives. And then see, if that crazy rumor ends up being true in any way, state, or form. But we'll have to watch this and recognize we're going to a different point here in time. And direct confrontation is something that's been brought up a lot. It's pretty obvious. None of us, nobody that's sane wants to see a war between NATO and the BRICS nations. And who does? Well, those that want to take an awakening population and get them looking down another rabbit hole, or get them fearful of falling off another cliff, so that they stop looking at some other things that are becoming so obvious that humanity is starting to really, really speak up about. Lula warns Maduro as South America nervously eyes Guyana-Venezuela row. So, again, this feels totally on the surface. Sure, Venezuela's been impoverished. They want to go and grab the resources that have just been discovered that can help to lift the nation up out of poverty. Most of that poverty, if not all that poverty, came about as a result of sanctions by the U.S. and NATO countries, again, for the most part, against Maduro. And yes, they have aligned themselves with BRICS, and B in BRICS is Brazil. So in reality, they are on the same side. But, again, these people that do, the puppets, all do have egos. They all do want to be the top puppet. So there is that going on. But at the same time, this just feels like an opportunity to me for Brazil and Venezuela to just mobilize their militaries for what's to come, which is the war with NATO. And I think that is, again, the bigger picture here. As, again, Venezuela and Brazil are strongly allied with Russia and China. Our medicine cabinets are loaded with tea tree and other essential oils. Again, we don't personally, I don't believe in allopathic medicine hardly at all. I think there's very, very little, in my humble opinion, that I would trust allopathic medicine with. Yes, break an arm or a leg, go to the doctor, get it set. If you're in a car accident, things like that, understandable. When it comes to prevention is what we should always be focusing on. And how do you do that? By exterminating the living bacteria from your body, good, bad, and everything in between? No. In my opinion, that would be kind of craziness. But yet, so many people do it. And when I was more asleep, I went along with it too. As again, you're brought up into a family that might be sleeping. And, your friends and family members and extended families, they might all be sleeping. So they just, hey, if they're not a DR, they're just going to go along with whatever the DR says without questioning. In this day and age, we obviously need to question everything. And so I've chosen to go the natural route. And I would, again, recommend to anybody, my personal experience would be, if you really need to get the advice of somebody that you view as an expert and a professional, I would go to a naturopath, a naturopathic doctor. an herbalist, somebody that understands the natural way of doing things. Tea tree oil, couldn't be without it. We have bottles of it, and big bottles, like liters, and it's a must. And if we didn't have tea tree oil in the house stocked up, I would feel very concerned. And, as you see, the FDA doesn't monitor or regulate purity or quality of essential oils. And research suggests there are health benefits, but again, they'll always tell you there's nothing clinical. But then yet there's so many things that are approved by, the CDC and the FDA that will have a list of possible side effects that are absolutely terrifying, and does include, the possibility of death. As we were listening, I've told you a guilty pleasure is watching some fights, and there was only one commercial on last night, and it was all about ouch. That's it. There was one commercial that was coming up on the fights. Just one. Make sure to get your ouch, nonstop, ouch. And it even, right there for everybody to hear is the Mayo word followed by carditis. Cases have been, experienced. And I'm thinking, again, these people that we view as zombies, you truly have to be a zombie to not hear this at this point in time. I mean, this word came up last night watching the fights for maybe an hour and a half, like 50 times. It just kept coming up. Mayo, and the other part that follows, carditis. Why would I want to do that? Why? It doesn't make any sense in the world to me. But again, it's people just, I don't have the time to do the research. I don't have the time to look it up. Well, if you don't do the research and you don't look it up and you don't start to open up your eyes, you just might not have the time, period.
Yeah, it is really crazy, when you look at these commercials and they have all these things that you might experience, yet they take something like tea tree or some other essential oil and they say, well, this could be dangerous, and everything that they put out is dangerous. And people, it's almost like they have some spokesperson that can put people into a trance while they're rattling off the 15 or 20 different side effects that might happen. They talk so fast that it just almost lulls you to sleep, and I think that's so deliberate.
So native Australians crush tea tree leaves to extract the oil, then they inhale it to treat colds and coughs or apply it directly to the skin. It's an amazing substance, and it has been shown to kill certain bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Nature gives us everything we need, and that's the bottom line. And when you look even to the allopathic medicine, what do they usually do? They usually isolate something from nature, but that's the problem. They isolate it, and then they make a synthetic version of it that doesn't have all the buffers in it that nature puts in. Nature is set up to support life. That's again where our fundamental perception of how this world works is wrong if we listen to the system. There is evolution and there is creation, but there's not necessarily Darwinian evolution, because Darwinian evolution is going to talk about survival of the fittest. And, it's a dog-eat-dog world. That's exactly what the system wants to give you the impression of. And this is exactly what the leadership of the world is thinking in their mind when they put in all new rules, laws, and legislation, because they're only thinking about themselves. What they're concerned with is their survival, because they view themselves as the fittest because they understand the bigger program. So they view the masses as sleeping zombies as well. But the reality is, as we've alluded to, as above, so below, as within, so without, you do not see cells in the body behaving that way. The only ones that do are cancerous and are going to lead to the destruction of the body itself. No, the cells in the body work together. This is where our perception has to change. And we have to realize that if we are doing things that are destructive to the environment, then it is destructive to self. And at the same time, the system has created it so that you have people on the right-hand side that are saying, don't give me any of that hippie environmentalist crap. You got people on the left-hand side that are saying, don't give me any of your self-serving selfishness crap. And, here you go. The system's leadership is above it all, laughing and snickering the whole time because they've divided us into these different groups. And the reality is, yes, we need to protect the environment, but you're certainly not going to protect the environment with a system like this in place, because this system is purposely destroying the environment so that everything that lives on this planet is going to have a shorter life, is going to have less ability to think clearly and function properly, because it doesn't have that as its purpose. The purpose of the system is just to have basically a decent amount, only what they need, of good worker bee slaves to basically work the garden for the masters. This is exactly what we have. Now, tea tree oil could be used as insect repellent as well, natural deodorant. You could just simply create your own deodorant with a little baking soda, coconut oil, add a little tea tree. There you go. People don't even think about the fact that when you buy most deodorant, it has aluminum in it. Anything you put on your skin is going to get absorbed to a degree. The aluminum goes into your body, goes into your bloodstream, goes into your brain, and it makes cognitive decline accelerate.
And I think you can add it. You can buy magnesium oil too, and you could probably add a drop or two to the magnesium oil.
Yes. And, I just am so proud of my beautiful wife, as she is always doing research on things along the health issues. Antiseptic, boost wound healing, fight acne. If it wasn't this time of year, flu and cold season, quote unquote, before that on the MMA fights, they would always have things about fighting acne, but can cause cancer. We kid you not. Death has resulted. We kid you not. It's just insane. Nail fungus, chemical-free mouthwash. It goes on and on. Just an all-purpose cleaner. So we always have tea tree. We always have eucalyptus too. So we probably have half a gallon of eucalyptus literally in the shelves right now. And always buy pure, organic. You always want to make sure there's nothing extra added into it. Eucalyptus is great for opening up the lungs. When the kids got sick, I would always run eucalyptus, peppermint, and tea tree in a diffuser, have them inhale it, and it clears the sinuses, it clears the lungs, and it gets rid of the nasty bad bacteria. Absolutely. Eucalyptus improves respiratory conditions, relieves cough, improves seasonal allergies. Where do your allergies come from? People don't even, look at that. I got allergies. Well, what's your diet like? And that's the number one thing you should look at. What is your diet like? I had allergies. Honestly, I did. And I don't. So it's really, what did I do? Well, now I just eat whole foods. That's really it. And I make sure that we buy organic, even though we understand that organic is not necessarily, there's probably nothing truly organic in this world. Maybe there's some things in some isolated location, but as we know, they're constantly modifying the world. Alleviate headaches, fights infections, boosts mental clarity, repels rats. Absolutely. And then again, you get people that will kill weeds with Roundup and will spray all sorts of pesticides, insecticides all over, and then wonder, why did I get cancer? Well, this is why. You could do things like this. And the next one too, well, oregano. Oregano, wow, when you take that, Oregano oil can be very, very potent. That's another one. Great for infections, fungus, even the common cold. It can do so many things. It's so powerful. Help with gingivitis, athlete's foot, earaches, toothaches even. Clove is good for toothaches. I mean, gosh, there's so many things that we can do that won't harm us physically. No side effects. Not going to make your house and land toxic. And it's totally natural. And in most cases, may cost less, sometimes may cost a little bit more depending on what you're getting.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do a little digging, a little research into that. You definitely want to get a good quality, something that has good reputation. I always like to go, when I do look at things, I research, a few different areas across the board and make sure things say what they say. And when it comes to the oregano oil, you want to look for that. I think it's the carvacol. It does have the medicinal aspect to it. So you want to get the oregano oil that has that in it. I think it's called carvacol, if I'm saying that right. But you'll know when you look up oregano oil, what is the best medicinal oregano oil. Throw that online and it'll come up with some things, and then you want to make sure you get that. Now, if you're using something like eucalyptus, just maybe you need to repel rats or whatever. I would go with something that's probably not as, if you can go cheaper, if it's just to repel rats, well, the smell is going to repel rats. But if you're putting it on your skin and your body, that's when you definitely want to go up on something, because it's going to seep into our body. So there's different ways to look at different things. Peppermint oil, I do the same thing. Probably a couple times a month, I'll mop the floor and clean the counters with a mixture of it's peppermint oil and vinegar, white vinegar. And the bugs really, really do not like this, and the house smells like, oh my gosh, like one giant candy cane for a couple days. But I do it really good.
Yeah, and I do want to just verify with you guys, it works so effectively. It's amazing. So it's like they all clear out of the house. This old house was empty for 2 years, and it wasn't infested, thankfully, but one of the outbuildings was infested big time. But we've lived in places that had infestations of all sorts, and she will go and she will just spread this everywhere, and then it's like nothing. They hate it. They hate it. And for insects too, boric acid and baking soda. I mean, so cheap, so simple, non-toxic to humans. It couldn't be any easier. And then diatomaceous earth for, like if we run into certain insects, the fire ants are a big problem in the South. You can get rid of their hills totally simply, totally naturally. There's no need for all the poisons.
No, there's not. And when it comes to cupboards, say if you have a bug problem, if you sprinkle like baking soda on the bottom of your cupboards where you keep all of your food, mice, bugs, they do not want to step on that stuff. Mice get it on their little paws and they lick it off, and they can't burp. So, if it doesn't do them in, it's definitely going to give them a tummy ache, and they're going to move out. Eventually they move out. It might take a little while, but hey. Now I did try those ultrasonic things. They work for my daughter, but I plugged one in, and oh my gosh, because I'm so sensitive, I felt what the mouse felt, and it really kind of screwed me up. So I can't use the ultrasonic things, but they do work.
Yeah, and even if you're not ultra sensitive, it's still hitting you on a different level.
Yeah.
Subconsciously.
Yep. So I like to go with the baking soda, and you can sprinkle peppermint in there. But there's just so many things we can do, and give it time. If you do go with the peppermint and baking soda to push these things out of your kitchen, give them a couple of weeks to move out. They got to pack their little bags and find a new place to live. But it's worked. I think we did have a little Houdini mouse when we moved in. We set up all kinds of traps and nothing worked. But when I did the peppermint and baking soda, the little guy, he's gone.
Yeah, he just packed his bags and hit the highway. So, I wanted to just mention this because I know this is something that may be out of the reach of many people. but it is effective. And yesterday was the first time we tried this system. Now, we've been using Ozone for years, and the Ozone, I think, that we've invested in, I really do think it saved our lives. I'm not sure if one of us wouldn't have made it, or both of us wouldn't have made it to this point in time without it. And it's just amazing what it can do. We invested in one of these bags and systems. We have our own oxygen concentrator that we got from Promo Life, and every video that's going up now too for the last couple months has had this. Ozone therapy has been a lifesaver for us with the link. So we are affiliated with this. We get hundreds, if not thousands, of offers throughout the years for all the channels, to sell this, sell that, whatever. We just don't feel right about. We don't want to sell stuff like video games, or even things that might be practical, which come through. It's really kind of like not us. But this, I could definitely say is a game changer. And I think this is really the hidden reason, or one of the hidden reasons why in the golden age we live so long. It's because the environment is simply much more oxygen rich. And also we don't have the effect of the system with all the toxins, the pollutants. There's no fracking. There's no chemicals being spewed in the air all the time. There's no groundwater being poisoned. And oxygen is so important. So again, this link here will take you to Promo Life itself. And the oxygen therapy, this is something that athletes use very, very effectively. It takes them to an all new level. And so yesterday morning, after doing videos, I was starting to feel really off. And I told Cindy about that. And so she nudged me to get on the machine and try the machine. And the rest of the day, I felt amazing. It really was wild. I had worked out the day before. My legs felt like lead. And after getting the oxygen into my body, I mean, the first thing that happens immediately is the mental clarity is at a totally different level. And then she did notice that she had done it before I did it, and she was saying her legs all of a sudden got energized. And yeah, absolutely, your legs get energized. But top level athletes use this. And even if we're not going to be an athlete, if you have anything, which many, if not most of the world right now, is having an issue supplying the tissues with enough good oxygen, this can do it. So, I don't like doing infomercials, but I will say this was amazing. The clarity in the mind, and then just the way I felt the rest of the day instantaneously, because I was just feeling a little sluggish, a little bit off, and feeling like it wasn't going to be a very productive day. But it totally changed it. And I just did 20 minutes on the machine, the exercise machine, using this, breathing in deeply. Wow, it was just incredible. Now, I understand not everybody's going to have the money set aside to do one of these things, but at the same time, if you do, or if you want to try to set aside money so that you can get something like this, it could really transform your life. A lot of people have done oxygen therapy. People have gone to doctors. Again, I've worked in both the pharmaceutical setting, and I've worked in a health facility that was all alternative health as well, trying all different sorts of alternative ways of getting back your health. And when I worked there, that was a place where it was kind of like the last ditch effort for a lot of people. When the regular system, the allopathic system, just told them, sorry, can't do anything for you. And there are alternatives that can totally change your life around. And it could be as simple as just giving your body more oxygen.
Yes, you want to get those cells oxygenated. Saturation really is what seems to help. As we get older, we don't breathe the same. We simply don't get around the same. We're not bringing in the same amount of oxygen, and this is something that's really helped a lot of people. But I would encourage anyone to go online, look at some YouTube videos, get a lot of information in it, and understand what you're getting and what you're doing. Just, so you're going to utilize it when you get it. It is a little intimidating to get into things like ozone and EWAT or exercise with oxygen therapy, because it seems like a monumental task. But, what I went through was something that I could either go the way of allopathic medicine, or I could fix it myself. And I had already gone through the realms of allopathic medicine, and it nearly killed me. So I knew I had to do something for myself. I have to take this on myself, take responsibility for my own health and wellness. And sure, I could go to another DR and they could do more things, but I don't trust them. I've had dear friends that have died after we did everything that the doctors said. So it's like you just get to that point where okay, if I go this route, I'm done. If I go this route, I have a chance. And that's the route we went. So that's kind of what made me do that big jump and that big leap of faith. And then, it does it gave me some encouragement. And, if I can do it, you can do it. And they do take payments. So that's an option too.
We've talked again about the cycle of the yugas and, the lifespan and human size. We are bigger. Now, science will tell you, too, in the past, there was a lot more oxygen here. What did that correlate with? Global warming. Ah, yes. Why would the dark matrix be afraid of global warming? Because it means that the time of the dark age is over, because we do warm up. There is more oxygen itself. The earth itself will clean itself. The dark system will no longer be there. And life expectancy increases greatly, again, in these different ages. And what about the giants? Well, the reality is, the giants, some of those giants were us, just simply us incarnating in much bigger bodies, because there was a lot more oxygen. Oxygen is so key. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. All this stuff correlates. All this correlates. And here, this is a video. It's 16 minutes long. We're not going to play the whole thing. But this, I believe, was over in the UK. And this was people, and this might have been from a little while ago, like during the lockdown, the previous lockdown. People taking possession of a public building and refusing to leave, so that the police were called in, and that was their purpose. They wanted to have the police called in so they could explain to the police how the police are actually breaking the law, because they're enforcing different restrictions which are actually illegal. And so what's the outcome here? Well, at first, you have two police officers that seem very, very skeptical, but in the end, they did leave, and there were seeds planted in their minds as to the legitimacy of the laws that they were actually enforcing. And that's what we got to do as we enjoy the holiday season.
Definitely everybody's got to dress their puppy up in reindeer ears and Santa hats.
It's cute. It's just darn cute. And get out and have some fun, because when we get out of this age, it's not all, bad news every day. No, I mean, it becomes just an exploration. It's a festival. When we're outside of the dark age, life is just one big fiesta.
Indeed.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.